The Nightmare, a short audio story written by Mons. I was sitting home in front of my computer and watching some movies, killing some time before I would go to bed, when suddenly my phone rang. It was my friend on the other end, with the same voice that I had, half awake and half bored. "Hi there, man. I'm free tomorrow, got nothing really to do, so I was thinking of going outside and, well, figure something out. Do you want to tag along?" My friend asked me. I had already seen this movie several times and I hadn't seen my buddy in a long while, so I replied and said, "Yeah, sure, I'm coming. You know what? How about going to that abandoned construction site that everyone is calling a ghost town? It's quite late, but I think it's our time to look around." We agreed. Well, both of us actually played a lot of post-apocalyptic computer games, and we hoped this would showcase how it actually would look like and become something of the real experience. My friend actually even brought a camera. 10 or 15 years ago, the politicians who run this town had some huge expanding ideas, and they were planning on turning it into some tourist place, building more hotels and theme parks, and then suddenly the bubble burst and all construction just stopped. And that's how my little mountain village turned into a huge ghost town. All of the people who I grew up with are still here, it's just that no one actually moved here. So instead of having a rainforest, we have a jungle of empty apartment buildings. Oh, back in the days, we actually had a few tourists coming here who just wanted to get away from the city for a short while. But now, no one really wanna come here anymore. We parked the car in the middle of a huge naked building, like a skeleton, only concrete, and then we turned on our flashlight. My friend started to take some photos, and then we just walked around. We chit-chatted a little bit about our girlfriends, our work, and how none of our post-apocalyptic computer games actually looked like this. This was truly the real deal, and it was both exciting and a little bit frightening at the same time. We climbed stairs, got on top of rooftops, and then went to the next building, and the next one, and the next one. It was nothing but concrete desert, and that made the scenery for people like me and my friend really fascinating. Now don't get me wrong, I really hate the politicians who did this, who built this thing, and didn't achieve anything. I mean, it's just sitting here and rotting away for nothing. But if I'm gonna be honest, I have to say that I really liked walking around here. I guess that both me and my friend started to daydream because we stopped talking to each other eventually and just walked there together in silence. I was thinking about some of my computer games where I was a character with a gun running around in this place chased by bandits and gangsters, and it almost felt like I was in that game in my dream. And the entire environment gave such a reality feeling. I mean, there were a little bit smoke everywhere, a really old car, you could hear crawling sounds from something that resembled zombies. There was a dead arm that was a bit bloody over there in that corner. There was street lights were flashing. You could hear some strange sounds far away in the distance. Wait, did I say dead bloody arm? My head rotated back towards that alley where I had seen that bloody thing, and yes, it lay there, a complete chopped off human arm that poured out fresh blood. And deeper down in that dark alley, I heard something crawling. I stopped walking, I grabbed my friend to make him stop, and I kept my eyes focused at the street alley. My friend got a bit confused, but it didn't take him long to see exactly what I was seeing. We stood there in silence and wondered in fear what would actually come out from that street corner. The crawling actually stopped, and then there was a moment of silence, and then we saw something, some humanoid standing in the shadows. Then my friend suddenly shouted, "Are you all right?" And I got a little bit confused, but then I saw it was a woman. Her face didn't make any form of expression at all, her eyes were completely blank, almost like a ghost. but I got a little bit more relaxed.
"It's okay, you can come out," my friend kept shouting, and the woman got a little bit more relaxed as well and started to walk forward. But then I got a little bit anxious. She wasn't missing any one of her arms, and she wasn't bloody in any form of way either. And that expressionless mouth of hers was really wide and started to even expand a little bit longer. It even started to look like a smile going from one ear to another. A normal human mouth isn't that wide. Before she came too close, I started to pull my friend backwards, just in time for her mouth to open and revealed razor-sharp teeth all over it. A normal human got teeth in the front, top and bottom. This creature had teeth in the entire mouth, continuing all the way back to the throat. Suddenly her nails wasn't nails but now claws, and waving in front of us as her pace increased, moving towards us. I let go of my friend and we jumped back in two different directions away from this monster. This carnivore clearly only had ill intent for us. So both of us came to the same conclusion to run away. Unfortunately, we didn't run away together and we got separated. I accidentally happened to run into some new territory, areas we hadn't been walking around in. We had been walking around for quite a while, but there was so much undiscovered areas, and now I had no idea where I actually were. I had come into some form of room that I believe would become a toilet or a bathroom in the future, but in the end I was lost inside a concrete labyrinth. I sat there, hiding, catching my breath, waiting for something, preferably nothing. Didn't hear anything. I kept waiting and waited a little bit more longer, and the waiting became unbearable, thinking about different possibilities. Was my friend hiding as well? Was he fighting against the monster? Or was he being eaten alive at the very moment? Was this really the best decision? Should I remain hiding here and wait until daybreak and then leave? Or should I wait a little bit longer, catch my breath and try to run away? Or should I get out there and walk around and accidentally walk into the monster and die? I had no idea what is going to be the best decision. Then I saw a crowbar lying on the ground and I picked it up. I walked out and tried to backtrack from where I came, really slowly listening to my surroundings, but it was dead silence. Then after a while I suddenly saw my friend standing and waving at me, and I got a little bit relaxed and we started to move closer towards each other. He had some peculiar face and a wide mouth, but it was him alright, right? The next thing that happened out of the blue was that something came bursting out of the shadows and spun something really sharp deep into the side of my friend. And I looked who it was, and it was my friend stabbing my friend. But they were two identical people. Then my friend, or the thing that had once been looking like my friend, that had been waving at me, that now had something really sharp in its gut, didn't really look like my friend anymore. And I can't really describe what it actually looked like because it wasn't human, and it made a horrible screaming, shrieking sound that I wanted to make quiet, so I swung my crowbar right at its head. My friend was on the same kind of idea. He had picked up some form of pitchfork or some form of pike, something that looked like a modern spear that you would separate stone with, and he kept on stabbing the monster with it. We kept on hitting it until it didn't move, as black blood ran out of its body, and then we had to walk back a little bit, catch our breath, and drop down on the ground ourselves, tired of some executional exhaustion. We had chopped off one of the creature's arms, and it lay there dead. Or so we thought, because suddenly it just stood up completely vigorously, full with energy, and then looked at us and screamed and ran off. We were both quickly back on our feet, but the creature made a mighty leap over to some balcony where we couldn't reach it. Then suddenly the creature looked human, like the woman we saw in that dark alley, with a really wide, smiling mouth that went from ear to ear, and suddenly her arms were back, and all the wounds we had inflicted had healed. As it walked backwards into the other room in the balcony, disappeared, and we never saw it again. My friend kept the monster arm that we had chopped off in his freezer. The man that had died had been a homeless man that no one actually cared about, and the news didn't say anything about it. The cops didn't even care to do a search of anything, and life just went back to normal. Except I didn't play any post-apocalyptic games after this.
You might be wondering why this story goes by the name of Nightmare, and the answer is actually quite simple. This is something that I dreamt, a real nightmare that I had. I had to adapt the story to be a little bit more realistic, so we weren't running around in a ghost town, we were actually running around in the city where I live, and we were more or less searching and trying to find a way around. My friend in the story is a real person that is a real friend of mine, and the monster actually behaved identically to the story and how I dreamt it. It appeared to us as a woman, it had been eating a human, we saw some dead body parts in my dream, and then this woman came out and it shapeshifted into a monster. Now we didn't pick up any crowbars or realistic items that we fought it with, we picked up two-handed mega huge swords that we killed it with, or killed and kill it. The same thing in the story happened in my dream. It jumped off to another balcony, shapeshifted into the woman, and it grew its arm back again. So a shapeshifting, regenerating monster. I hope you enjoyed this story, and I hope you don't have any nightmares.